Hey guys, Fan here again, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick video on the map changes in version 6.82. So I'm just going to discuss, some of the most important map changes in, fairly briefly, and kind of just show you guys what's going on with the map, because the changes were out since version 6.82, which was about 2 weeks ago, I think. But not many people have been using the map changes, so let's start here. So the first thing I want to talk about is, this ward position. So I believe starting in 6.82, you can now put a ward in this spot, which you couldn't previously. It's an interesting ward position. It's kind of the equivalent to this one right here on the Radiant side, which, yeah, it pretty much does the exact same thing. And basically what it does is it gives you full vision of the bottom lane. So if you're playing on Radiant side in particular, this would be a ward you might want in combination with this one. And it's just because, this ward gives you full vision of anyone who basically goes out of the bottom side of Dire base. So, if you're winning, if you're containing your opponents pretty hard, you want to set up this ward as well as this one for, full-on aggressive wards, so you can know whenever your opponents leave the base, so you can, try and gank them or kill them, or at the very least have that information ready. On a side note, it's also a okay ward for Rush because it lets you see, this area right here. However, it does not see this area, so, if you're doing Rush, you might need another ward to spot this path. That's my friend spamming me. Okay, that's interesting. Anyways, moving on. The second word I wanted to talk about is this word right here, and I'm just gonna place it. Okay, so what this word does is it kind of, it sees this entire area, so it captures the Dire Ancients. What the Dire Ancients, really does here is it's kind of another variation of this ward. So it's still kind of aggressive, but it does, see a little further down the line. So if you're not winning the game quite as hard, but you do have like an aggressive team comp, and you don't want the enemy to farm anything, this is a decent ward. It can see the Dire Ancients. It can see when other people are farming the Dire Ancients. And it can also see the majority of the bottom lane. So if I select this word, you'll notice it can only see like, up to this range. So it doesn't completely cover the bottom lane. If a person comes down the side over here, they won't be able to be seen by this ward. However, it's still an interesting ward, and I think it's a new one in 6.82. Keep in mind that you cannot see in the Rosh pit even with, this ward that's right on top of it. So that's that. Moving on, we have the tree line here, which also changed, I think, pretty dramatically. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about this. So you can see if you're an offlaner, this is basically an additional place to juke. You can go in right in front of your tower and go out way behind it. And there's some interesting aspects to this. First of all, you can go in if you tango a tree. You don't even have to tango that tree, actually. If you just continue running, you can pretty much go further in, and then you can go either downwards or upwards. And upwards is the one where you have to tango, I believe, a couple trees here, and you can come out even further than previously, or you can go all the way in here. So this is an interesting juke location. I think it's going to be used a lot more in competitive play sooner or later, and it's really for the Dire offlane. So if you offlane a lot, it might be worth it to really recognize which trees you want to cut down, and all the different paths you can go here. So that's about it for that. Next thing I wanted to talk about is, just this change in particular, these set of trees and the secret shop location. So this is basically what I call gank the offlane path. And, basically what it is from now you can pretty much go from here. So if you're a Radiant offlaner, you can pretty much, starting from, let's say, right here, if I'm a Radiant offlaner, I can just hug the side here and go all the way over here, and then go all the way around to gank the enemy offlaner. And this is interesting because, so from here you can either gank behind the tower with this path, or you can gank straight up into the tower with this path right here. Or alternatively, you can gank in front of the tower. So there's a lot of ways you can go. This path is basically, what I call gank the offlaner path, because it has so many different options, so many different ways you can pop out and kill the offlaner. It's interesting to note that, for example, if the offlaner has a ward like right here, this spots the rune, right? And it also spots this path right here. So this is normally the ward you use for avoiding ganks. But if the support or if the enemy mid from Radiant, goes on this gank the offlane path, which is all the way through the jungle, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to see them coming from the river. You're not going to see them coming from the side here. And it's really, really easy to kind of just loop around, and then you're behind the offlaner. And if you're behind the offlaner as like a mid player, or maybe it's two supports, if you take that path, the offlaner is effectively dead. So, that's definitely a new way of kind of ganking the offlane there. So moving on, I think that's pretty much everything for the Dire side. I showed you guys the gank the offlane path, the ward positioning here and here, as well as the kind of dire juke spots over there. Oh, one more thing. So there's also this kind of split. This doesn't do too much, I feel like. It does let you gank the offlaner a little bit easier, because instead of walking all the way around, you can now just kind of, walk through the trees here. So that's cool. But the offlaner can also use it and hide in the trees and whatnot. So it's kind of a mixed bag there. And the last change I wanted to talk about is the secret shop right here. So before, you needed to eat a tree to get out of the secret shop from this path. However, they changed it so that this is just a path now. You don't even need to eat a tree, and you can get into the offlane from this top side over here. And that's pretty interesting, because once again, now let's say you're on the Dire side and you're like a support or a mid player or whatever, and the lane is pushed up over here. So what you can do is you can go through the secret shop this way, and then even if the lane's like right there, they're not going to see you, and then you're going to be in the secret shop ready to launch a gank from the secret shop, which is pretty interesting. And once again, that's a ward, or that's a gank that this ward won't be seeing. That's a gank which this ward won't be seeing either. So pretty cool there. So moving on. Those were pretty much all the changes on the Dire side. Now I'm just going to show you the same thing on the Radiant side. So this one is going to be the gank the Radiant offlaner path right here. And if you're a mid player as the Dire side, you can pretty much go right here and go through this path. This path didn't change that much. If they have like a ward here, they're going to see you coming, so it's not quite as effective, I feel like. But it still exists and you can still use it. You can, if you're supports, you can dual smoke, and then they won't see you coming through this side. And basically what this is there's a gank the offlaner path right here, which leads you pretty much right next to the tower. And they don't see you if you're right here, so you can be really, really close to the tower and they still won't see you. And if the offlaner is hugging the tower somewhere over here, and you're like a witch doctor or CM or whatever, you can actually just stun them from the trees, and they're pretty much instantly dead if the offlane is pushing into the tower. So the second thing you can do is you can come out over here. Previously, you needed to eat a tree to come out through this path, but once again, they removed that tree, so you can easily just do it whenever you feel like now. And the last one is just the normal path around the secret shop and into the bot lane. So once again, pretty similar, gank the offlane path for the other side. And I guess the last thing I'll show you guys is this ward. I'm not sure if you could do this before 6.82. I seem to remember that you could, but I'm not positive. And what this ward sees is, once again, it's an offensive ward. You can combine it with this one if you really want to. However, this one doesn't see nearly as much, so I feel like this ward is pretty worthless most of the time. It does see most of the top lane, so most likely you're gonna see whoever comes out of the top lane here, but that's about all it sees. I guess it'll see the entrance to the secret shop as well, but you won't really see the ancients from this ward, so it's not quite as good in my opinion. But it does exist, and I feel like it's worth knowing about. So that's that. So I think those were all the important changes that I wanted to talk about in regards to the 6.82 map. If you guys notice anything else, feel free to let me know. I'm sure I missed a lot of things here, but this was just a quick overview. And if you guys like this video, feel free to subscribe and like the video as well. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching.